What's up, guys? Today we're going to be going over the two hot snipers this season, the Praedyth Revenge from Vault of Glass, then the Uzume, is that how you pronounce it, from the Nightfall this week, which is pretty much the Irene from Destiny 1 if you play Destiny 1, a 90 RPM Avalon sniper. And we'll be breaking down the god roll for both and going over their DPS numbers, total damage output, all that good stuff, and just generally comparing them. So first, starting off with the Uzume, which will have some interesting perks on the left. The two notable ones will be Triple Tap and Clown. We'll also be going over Bottomless Grief because that is pretty interesting with the buff. So first, looking at Triple Tap on the weapon with a mag increase, for example, a Pinned Mag or Extended Mag. With backup spec on, it'll go up to a 7 mag like most 90s can, and that will allow you to be able to shoot 10 shots straight without reloading. And while we're at it, just looking at the rate of fire of shooting those 10 shots off, the most important thing to know about Triple Tap is not only does it extend your magazine, the ammo you get is from thin air, not from reserves, so you pretty much just generate 3 extra bullets per magazine with Triple Tap, which will greatly increase your total damage output of the weapon. And while we're at it, looking at the 2 mag rate of fire, just for DPS numbers later in the video, 13.8 seconds. So that is the first option in the left slot. The next option will be Clown Cartridge, which will randomly overfill the magazine every single time you reload it from reserves. That is the key difference. And this will make it so that every single time you reload the weapon, you're guaranteed at least 8 in the mag. And as you see, the highest you can get is going to be 11. So in theory, you could shoot more with this than Triple Tap in a single magazine. But the main difference is over the total reserves of the weapon. Since this will be pointed from your reserves, the weapon holds 21 ammo, which means 21 ammo with Clown Cartridge, but with Triple Tap, that would go all the way up to 30. So while this perk does allow you to shoot potentially 1 more shot per magazine, over your total reserves, you're going to be missing out on a lot of ammo. So this is only going to be useful for, solo players that really won't be hitting the crit consistently with Triple Tap, where they won't have a fire team with Div or something like that, where they can easily proc Triple Tap. And the final perk on the left that we can talk about is going to be Bottomless Grief, mostly because of the buff this season, where it will increase the mag size also, which will get this weapon to 7 without backup mag. If you put backup mag on top of that, nothing happens. So you can use boss spec or major spec. But overall, the extra 9 bullets from Triple Tap over your entire reserves will be more of a damage increase than something like boss spec even. So that is why I think Triple Tap is just by far the go-to in the left. Now looking at the right perks, there's going to be a few noble ones that I want to talk about in this video. Explosive Payload, Vorpal, High Impact Reserves, and also Adrenaline Junkie. So first, looking at the base damage on Carl with this weapon, it's going to hit for 19,830. Now with the first perk I want to look at is going to be Explosive Payload. This is normally a perk for primary weapons, for example scouts. But now looking at this perk on a sniper, seeing what it does. As you see, the headshot damage doesn't really go up by that much. It's only going to be a 5% increase to the headshot damage, so not really that notable. But now if we look at Vorpal, which will be the most consistent damage perk on the weapon, it's going to be that good old classic 15% versus any boss in the game. Always will be there, don't need to proc it, just straight up 15% more damage. Another perk this weapon comes with is going to be High Impact Reserves, where as you get lower in the magazine, you will do more damage. So looking at that with the 7 mag, looking at all the numbers, the first 3 bullets will be the same, then it will go up for the next 3, and then the 7th one will be the same as the 6. So there's going to be, 4 different numbers there going on. And we look at how that pairs with Triple Tap over the 10 magazine. The average shot will be 22,310, which is going to be a 12.5% increase on average, so a little bit lower than Vorpal. And the last perk we can talk about is going to be Adrenaline Junkie, which will be the hardest buff to get, but yet the highest. So if you are using a build or in a situation where you can easily get 3 grenade kills before you're shooting at a boss, that perk will then last for 10 seconds, which will allow you to easily get 1 magazine off on the boss. I'll give you a little bit of time to, get around, aim in, and get that first magazine off, and that's going to be a 33% increase, which would mean the highest 1 mag DPS at 44,000. But that's only going to work in a few situations, so realistically you're going to be using Vorpal, and here is the 1 and 2 mag DPS numbers, 38 and 33,000. And to be honest, neither one of those numbers are great. They're not terrible, but definitely not good compared to some other things in the game. This weapon, as we also said, holds 21, which means almost 500,000 damage without Triple Tap. Then with Triple Tap, that would be extended to 684,000. So now changing it up to the Praedyth Revenge from Vault of Glass. And the left column, there's going to be pretty much only one perk I want to talk about, which will be Rewind Rounds, and that is pretty much the only perk you should be going for in the left. So looking at what that does, pretty much once the magazine is empty, it will return ammo based off the number of hits. And at this point, I've showed all this perk a few times on the other Vault weapons, and pretty much what it does is for every bullet that is hit on the target, half of it will be returned once it's emptied. So with this, if we shoot off 7, it goes to 4, which is pretty interesting, but then from the 4 it goes to 1, so a total of 12 shots in a row, which is pretty interesting. And I did test this with just body shots and also just crits, and it returned 12 shots both ways, so nothing seems to be going on there. Just straight up, if you hit all your shots, it'll be the result of 12 shots in a row. But the one thing that sucks about rewind rounds right now is the fact that it does not work with div, because you have to be hitting the target and not the div bubble. The div bubble doesn't count as the target apparently. So if you're in a fire team with someone using div on a boss that moves around a bunch, it will not work. So hopefully that is a bug that we're going to be looking into and trying to fix soon, because that pretty much makes this perk useless in almost every single boss fight. There's only a handful of bosses in the game that you can realistically hit all of your crits with a 140 RPM sniper, and those will be the few bosses that pretty much don't move at all, and even at that, for PC, it'd still be kind of hard, and on console, pretty much impossible. So hopefully that is a bug and they fix that soon. And as you see on screen right now, I'm just looking at the rate of fire for the 1 mag and the 2 mag. So for right now, if you're using this with div, pretty much the DPS numbers for 1 mag and 2 mag, which I'll show off in a bit, won't change. But what will change is your DPS over like the entire fight. And what I mean by that is sniper DPS is pretty much determined by how many times you have to reload, which is why perks like triple tap are really good, because it allows you to reload less often. So in a situation where you have to shoot off all of your shots, with rewind you will only have to reload once, but with it not working on div currently, you're going to need 4 magazines, which means 3 reloads. So that is a lot of extra downtime added because of the fact that it's not working right now, which will greatly lower your DPS over the entire reserves. Now looking at the right column perks on the weapon, there's going to be a few I want to talk about: Frenzy, High Impact Reserves, then Adrenaline Junkie. So first, starting off with the base damage of the weapon, looking at damage on Carl, it's for this number right here. But the thing about this sniper is that you don't need backup mag to get a 7 mag. Just with the extended mag perk, it will go to 7 naturally, which means you can use something like boss spec, or in this case, because he is a major spec. And looking at damage now, it's going to go up to this. So that is pretty much the base damage of the weapon. And the first perk I want to look at is going to be Frenzy, which will be that good 15% increase and will give you max reload speed. So overall, a good perk if you can proc it going into the boss fight. Next one I want to talk about is going to be High Impact Reserves, which is going to work a little bit different on this weapon. The pattern of the damage itself will be the exact same. The 3 first numbers will be the same. Then it'll go up, up, and up. Then 7th will be the same as the 6th. But what I mean by it being different is the way rewind rounds works. You're going to have a lot more shots at the end of the magazine with this perk, which makes it a 15.7% increase over the entire 12 in the magazine with rewind rounds. So that's going to be a little bit higher than Frenzy. Then last perk I want to talk about is once again Adrenaline Junkie, which, as we mentioned before with the Uzume, will result in the highest damage, but also the hardest to get. If you get 3 grenade kills, it will be that 33% buff, and you'll be able to do that easily for the 1 magazine, resulting in 56.9 thousand DPS, which is by far probably the highest of all snipers in the game. So that is obviously really good, but more realistically, using High Impact Reserves over 1 and 2, it'll be 49.5 and 41.6 thousand, which are both better than that of the Uzume. This weapon also holds 23 ammo with no reserve perks, which is pretty interesting because you'll be able to shoot all that off with just 1 reload with rewind rounds. And with High Impact Reserves, that'll be 451,000 damage. So overall, between the 2 weapons, neither of their DPS numbers are too crazy insane. They're both pretty solid and up there with some of the highest options for special weapons. The only thing that stands out is slug shotguns, and slug shotguns are a good chunk higher than even snipers. And I'm not even talking about double slug hot swapping, I'm just talking about a slug in general. Using something like a Vorpal first and last out does roughly 60,000 DPS over 1 mag. And if you compare that to the High Impact Reserves or the Vorpal numbers for the snipers, the Praedyth's Revenge over 1 mag was 49.5, then the Uzume was 38,000, so obviously the slug shotgun is a good 20,000 better than the Uzume, then still 11,000 better than even the Praedyth's Revenge, which is a 140 RPM sniper, which is going to be a lot harder to control than a slug shotgun. So even without hot swapping, a slug is straight up still better, so it's kind of hard to recommend snipers right now, especially given the fact that the rewind rounds doesn't even work with div. Pretty much the only use of these snipers is when you're forced to play at range, which unfortunately isn't too often in this game with things like Well of Radiance. Anyways, I definitely think it's worth picking up both of these snipers because one is kinetic and one is energy, and they are among the best, if not the best, in both slots for snipers. And you never know when the meta will change, if they nerf slugs or buff snipers again, so it's just good to have them ready to go in that situation. Anyways, I think that's all I want to say about these weapons. They're good, but not great. And yeah, like usual, let me know what you think about them also. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.